First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rukal Kadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who have taught me this truth. And shout out to Yakim that's out there on the four corners of the earth proclaiming this truth and going out there and teaching. And, as you know, when you get committee guidelines, strikes, it prevents you from doing what Esau really hates us doing, and that is our doing sit-downs. And so by giving you community guidelines strike, you can no longer do sit-downs, you can never do live streams, and then they give you a 15-minute limit, which is in the case of these things. So, what I'll do is in a series of them, I'll do the best I can to make it as close to a sit-down as you can get, and try to do the best I can to get scriptures to go along with it. But, 15 minutes runs out really quick, so if I don't get the scriptures in one video, I just have to click on the others and then I'll find them. So anyhow, let's start with this article. This is Amalek. Israeli state strike 9 targets in Gaza in response to explosive kites and balloons. Yeah, there's so much of a threat. So, they're pounding the shit out of them with their technology, right? Israeli state have carried out a series of strikes on Gaza, reportedly destroying several Hamas military targets. And let's be honest. The Israeli state controls Hamas. They control the Palestinian leader, what do you call him, the PLO? Oh, yeah. Yasser Arafat was the guy that they had in their bag all the time. In retaliation to alleged arson attempts and explosive kites and balloons being launched at the Israeli state. The Israeli Defense Forces attacked 9 terror targets and 2 military compounds and a weapons manufacturing facility belonging to the Hamas terrorist organization, which as I stated before, they control Hamas, they control ISIS. The Israeli state, they control both sides, so that way, they can just continue their mass killing. So, anyhow, that's going on there, and while that's going down, supposedly, wind down of irritating war games. United Snakes and South Korea suspend military drills planned for August. But you're going to keep the sanctions on North Korea, right? U.S. President Trump has seemed to be delivering on his promise to scale down military exercises with South Korea, which he made after meeting Kim Jong-un. A drill scheduled for August has been suspended. So looks like somebody else is kissing ass here. And we know all this is stalled because really all this North Korea shit, it's really about a war with Iran, and that's what they're trying to get on the way. So they're just going to play this, okay, we want peace, you want peace, and then nothing ever really gets done, just talks. Kind of like in Syria. So we'll just get since I brought it up, Syria. I'm going to look at Bashar al-Assad's interview recently.
One of the main players is the United States. And Trump made his meeting in Singapore with Kim. Recently, Iran told that we will never meet with Trump because Kim is not Muslim. He doesn't understand what's going on. We'll never talk to Trump ever. Will you, if it will be necessary, meet Trump directly or indirectly? Do you think that it's necessary for you to talk to Trump?
We believe that discussing or talking or negotiating with your adversary, and any other one, of course, is productive. But in this case, it's always, since we had the first negotiation with the United States in 1974, we never achieved anything in any subject. The problem with the American president that they are hostages to their lobbies, to the mainstream media, to the huge corporations, financial, oil, armaments, etc. So they can tell you whatever you want to hear, but they will do the opposite. And this is the case, and it's getting worse and worse, and Trump is a very stark example. So talking and discussing with the American now for no reason, without achieving anything, it's just a waste of time. We're not happy to talk with the Americans just because they are American. We are ready to discuss with anyone who could be productive, and we don't believe that the American politics will be different in the foreseeable future. So it's just, again, waste of time now.
Well said, and I could have said it any better myself, you know. This is not what we teach on the streets, though, that pretty much that Amalek runs the United States and the Israeli state anyways. You know, pretty much is a waste of time, and he said it best, you know, that pretty much the whole political system is hostage to those that control it. You see, in Syria, it is very well-known fact, you know, that conspiracy theories, these are facts, you know, and they put it out as mainstream. Their mainstream media is actually what we consider alternative media. But then again, you know, Bashar al-Assad is not lying to his people, unlike what's going on over here, you know. Anyhow, here's another one which you'll find interesting. While the United States is funding white helmets again, and, you know, Angelina Jolie was in Iraq. I can't reiterate that enough. But here's another video article that I found, so I think you'll find this interesting. Shalom.
We begin today with concerns raised by the State Department this week that the Syrian government is increasing its presence in, well, Syria. State Department spokesperson Heather Nauert released a statement reading, quote, "The United States remains deeply troubled by reports of increasing Syrian regime operations in southwest Syria within the boundaries of the de-escalation zone. The United States continues to warn both the Russian government and the Assad regime of the serious repercussions of these violations and demands that Russia restrain pro-regime forces from further action within the southwest de-escalation zone."
So, either way, the United States is sending a warning. But do you think that they're in any shape to be telling Bashar al-Assad or Vladimir Putin what to do? Nah. Let's see what's really happening, shall we? Russia resumes the offensive in Syria. Yeah, fuck America. They can't tell Russia and Bashar al-Assad what to do. They don't have the money or the funds. In fact, was it $200 million per Tomahawk missile that they lost? So either way, they've made advances. Syria is getting their country liberated from these terrorist groups that the United States still supports. And so you know as well as I do that this is why the resuming for the funding of white helmets must happen, because they're being pounded here in Syria. So here's another alternative media outlet source that I get information from. You take you get the meat, you spit out the bones, kind of thing. I don't agree with everything he says, but definitely Jason O'Crane has some interesting insights. So here it is.
In a somewhat surprising but not entirely unpredictable turn, U.S. President Trump has authorized new funding for the White Helmets, which has previously been put on hold. Now, the White Helmets were the very controversial group inside of Syria that were basically the ambulatory service for al-Qaeda, what the White House describes as a vital life-saving cooperation with the Syrian civil defense, more commonly known as the White Helmets. Now, in the past, they've received upwards of $6.6 million, and it appears that they are going to be receiving the same as well. Now, originally, their funding was frozen by the United States, specifically by Donald Trump, after there was a video release of CIA-supported fighters decapitating a young boy in Aleppo. Apparently, by aiding al-Qaeda and other Islamic extremists, this kind of thing actually happens, and it's something Trump didn't like. Only now he's decided to go ahead and start funding the service once again. Now, it should be noted that they are also the only source for the alleged chemical attack that took place in Duma on April 7th. This is one of those chemical attacks that the U.S. swore that it was going to investigate, yet since that investigation began, we have heard absolutely nothing about it. Now, we should also keep in mind that the White Helmets were used by the West to justify several airstrikes on the Syrian scientific and military installations throughout April. Basically, the White Helmets claimed that a chemical attack took place, of which there is absolutely no actual evidence, and then preceding their claims, the United States did strike several important facilities inside the country, which were actually medical in nature and not factories for chemical weapons, as they alleged. Now, it should be noted that in the past, the White Helmets have been noted for participating in al-Qaeda execution videos of civilians who dared to resist their influence inside the country. Essentially, they work for al-Qaeda, which is backed by the United States inside the country. Now, I think what's really important about this is the fact that they're starting this all up again, that they're beginning to fund the White Helmets once again. And I think that's due largely to the fact that the U.S.-backed forces inside the country are being absolutely decimated by the combination of the Syrian military, the Iran Revolutionary Guard, and the military of Russia, who are staunchly defending the independence and the rightful leadership of the government of Syria. And the fact that the pro-U.S. sides, the ones that are being controlled by the U.S., funded by Israel and Saudi Arabia, additionally, are failing so hard that they're crumbling day by day. This demonstrates through the renewed funding that they're very concerned about losing the country in general. Now, they've lost the war. Essentially, the U.S.-backed side is not going to win the war. It's over for them. However, there is still the possibility of using these proxy forces to balkanize the country, particularly with the Kurds, which are now openly being supported by Israel and now in talks of cooperation with Saudi Arabia. So it seems like the U.S. may be feeling a bit desperate in this situation, a bit concerned about being able to get the minimal target of at least balkanizing the country, particularly in the northern areas where the Kurds are, where the oil fields also are. Now, this also comes at a time when probably most people who even bothered to pay attention to the crimes that the White Helmets were committing have probably forgotten all about them by now. The media's forgotten about them, etc. And so they're very quietly being refunded once again. And it reminds us that the struggle for anti-imperialism inside of Syria is still quite far from over, and it is a struggle that still needs to be carried out. Thank you for watching.
Anyhow, get some scriptures now, since we're almost near the end of the first 15 minutes. My first video. And so here we are, Ezekiel's prophecy, as we can see this happening right now. I will start in verse 4. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. And I will bring forth all thine army, horses, and horsemen, which are pretty much the militaries, the militias, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields. That's talking about Russia. All of them handling swords. That is, all these countries to fight. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them. All of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands. That's Turkey. The house of Tagarma of the north quarters, and all his bands and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be a guard unto them. It's talking about Russia. And we can see that right now, as we know, though, that pretty much they're not going to let the United States take Syria And all this has been prophesied years ago. And after many days thou shalt be visited. The Most High has been visiting this place. They just can't seem to let go. Their hooks are being drawn in. And so we are going to see. They shall ascend like a storm. They shall be like a cloud to cover the land. All thy bands and many with thee. Shalom.